Hi, my name is Brandy Collins, and today I'll be talking about the concepts behind The Power of Habit, Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business, which is a book by Charles Duhigg. Duhigg believes that many of the things we do can be broken down into cycles, which he calls habit loops. These loops consist of 3 steps: the cue, the routine, and the reward. These habit loops often occur without us thinking much about it, because the cue, the routine, and the reward are somewhat hardwired into our brains. When we talk about the cue, we're really talking about what triggers the habit. Emotions, like stress and anxiety, can be cues. Sights can also be cues. An example would be seeing a vending machine or passing by your favorite fast food restaurant on the way home from work. Smells can be cues. Perhaps the smell of someone else smoking beckons you to light up a cigarette, or the smell of freshly baked cookies makes you want to seek out the source. The time of day can be a trigger. Perhaps your habit is triggered when you first wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night. Energy levels can also be triggers. An example would be a habit that takes over your body when you're feeling overly tired. The second step in the habit loop is known as the routine. The routine is also known as the habit. This is the action that is triggered by the cue. Drinking, smoking, overeating, and nail biting are all examples of routines, or habits, that have clear triggers. The final step in the habit loop is known as the reward. This is the perceived benefit that you receive from giving in to the habit. It is the reward that the body is craving when it encounters the cue. A person who drinks a cup of coffee when they are tired receives the benefit of added alertness. Someone who downs a shot of whiskey in response to a stressful situation might feel a sense of relaxation after they take that shot. When we talk about habits, we often think about the bad habits that we want to break. But what we need to remember is that habits are not always bad. Many good habits exist, and some examples are flossing regularly, choosing healthy options to eat, taking vitamins, saving money, eating breakfast, and exercising more. A study performed in 2011 by Lawley, Wardle, and Gardner showed us that once a habit is formed, that behavior is performed automatically and without thought. This makes it much more likely that we will be stuck in our habits, whether they're good or bad. Most of us would like our body to automatically resort to good habits by default instead of the bad ones. So how do we break out of our habit loop? Well, according to Duhigg, this requires 2 things. First, we must use our willpower muscle, and second, we must interrupt our habit loop. It takes willpower to interrupt a habit cycle. Duhigg believes that willpower is like a muscle. The more it is exercised, the stronger it becomes. But because it is a muscle, it's a finite resource, and using it will wear out your willpower muscle. When the willpower muscle to interrupt a habit is worn out, the body automatically resorts to non-thinking habits. Research supports Duhigg's theory. A series of 5 studies by Neal, Wood, and Drotlett found that the more a person needs to use willpower, the more likely that person was to rely on existing habits. The bottom line is that you need to build your willpower muscle, and don't get discouraged, because the more you try to use your willpower, the easier it will become to do so. Duhigg tells us that habits are never really gone. Instead, they're replaced. So in order for us to break a habit, we must interrupt our habit loop and replace the routine with another behavior. Research supports Duhigg's assertion. A study by Arts, Pappies, and Vries shows us that habits must be intruded upon in order to be modified. Duhigg says that we do this with 2 intentional steps. First, we identify the cue or cues that trigger our habit, and then we replace the routine with something that gives us a similar reward. For example, if we wanted to break out of our coffee habit, we might decide that the cue is feeling really tired. Our body craves the alertness and energy that we get from drinking that cup of coffee. So in this case, we might decide to go for a 5-minute walk when we start to feel tired. This will give the body the reward it was craving. And if we kept modifying this habit loop, we would find that our automatic reaction to being tired is to take a walk and not to grab another cup of coffee. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation today. If you're looking to interrupt some habits in your own life, then you might want to pick up a copy of The Power of Habit: Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business by Charles Duhigg. Thank you.